Welcome back to Cinema Through the Ages, my series where I rank the 5 most iconic movies from each decade according to ChatGPT. Today, we move into the 80s, a decade where blockbuster movies continue to dominate pop culture. This was the era where studios leaned heavily into high-concept filmmaking. Stories that were easy to pitch, easy to follow, and designed to be massive crowd pleasers. That style would go on to define the modern blockbuster. According to ChatGPT, the 5 most iconic movies from the decade are E.T. the Extraterrestrial, Back to the Future, Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back, The Shining, and Blade Runner. As always, I'll be ranking them based on my enjoyment, culture influence, impact on cinema, and how well they've aged. Kicking things off at number 5 is E.T. the Extraterrestrial. The highest grossing movie of the 1980s, E.T. was a global phenomenon, and it's easy to see why. It set a new benchmark for family-friendly films. Its themes of friendship, empathy, and childhood wonder made it universally relatable. E.T. could generally be someone's favourite movie whether they're 5 or 95. Before E.T., family films were often goofy, animated, or fairy tale based. Spielberg grounded this one in suburbia, a real emotional world infused with sci-fi wonder. It wasn't just entertaining, it was moving. E.T. set the tone for the Spielberg model. Stories with wonder, danger, and heart, grounded in realism. That DNA can be seen in The Goonies, Finding Nemo, Stranger Things, and even Harry Potter. At number 4 is The Shining. At a time when horror films was dominated by slasher flicks, The Shining redefined the genre as something more psychological and cerebral. There's barely any gore, but that sense of dread is suffocating. Kubrick's direction is haunting. The symmetrical framing, slow pacing, eerie score, and maze-like hotel setting create an atmosphere that's deeply unsettling. It's less about jump scares and more about mental unraveling. Jack Nicholson's descent into madness is iconic and defined by this improvised line.
Here's Johnny!
That moment became one of the most quoted lines in film history. Even today, you can feel The Shining's influence in Hereditary, Get Out, The Haunting of Hill House. This is horror that lingers. Coming in at number 3 is Blade Runner, one of the most important sci-fi films ever made. It didn't just look different, it felt different. Blade Runner redefined science fiction as philosophical, slow-burning, and visually immersive. It wasn't just about robots, it asked what it means to be human. It tackled memory, mortality, identity, and artificial intelligence decades before that became mainstream. Visually, it was revolutionary. Blade Runner basically invented the cyberpunk aesthetic. Neon-drenched cities, flying cars, dystopian rain. Its look still shapes sci-fi today. In The Matrix, Ghost in the Shell, Cyberpunk 2077, Altered Carbon, and many more. And its legacy only keeps growing. The success of Blade Runner 2049 and the upcoming TV series prove that this is a world audiences never stopped wanting to revisit. At number 2, and this really came down to personal choice, is Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back. I had A New Hope at number 2 on my 1970s list, and Empire takes it even further. It elevated the franchise emotionally, narratively, and visually. This wasn't just another space adventure, it had real consequences. Han gets frozen, Luke loses a hand, the rebellion is on the ropes. Ending a major movie on such a bleak cliffhanger? Unheard of at the time, especially for something aimed at kids. Empire legitimized blockbuster sequels as more than just cash grabs, proving they could be deeper and more ambitious. It also introduced some of Star Wars' most iconic characters and locations. Yoda, Lando, Cloud City, Dagobah, and of course, the twist.
No, I am your father.
Still one of the most shocking reveals in movie history, parodied endlessly, quoted even by people who've never seen the film. And its influence is massive. The Dark Knight, Infinity War, The Two Towers, all legendary dark middle chapters that followed in Empire's footsteps. And finally, at number 1, one of my favourite movies of all time, Back to the Future. This is one of those rare films that just feels timeless. No matter your age or when you watch it, it somehow always works. It's the perfect blend of sci-fi, adventure, comedy, and heart, wrapped in a story that's as exciting today as it was in 1985. Before Back to the Future, time travel wasn't a major blockbuster genre. This film changed that. It made the concept thrilling, funny, and surprisingly emotional, sparking decades of time travel stories in film and TV. And at the center of it all, the DeLorean, a car that was discontinued before the movie even released, yet is now one of the most recognizable vehicles in pop culture. But what really makes this movie shine is the characters. Marty McFly and Doc Brown have one of the most iconic friendships in cinema. Their chemistry is electric, quirky, heartfelt, and totally unforgettable. The story itself is near perfect. Every setup has a payoff, every beat is tight. The script is still studied in film schools today for how masterfully it balances structure, humour, emotion, and plot. And the cultural impact is massive. Back to the Future didn't just inspire a trilogy, it sparked a cartoon, a theme park ride, a stage musical, and a global fanbase that's still growing. You see its DNA in everything from Rick and Morty to Stranger Things to Endgame. It didn't just define the 80s, it became a symbol of it. A film about time that fittingly became timeless. And that's my ranking of the most iconic movies of the 1980s, a decade that gave us some of the biggest blockbusters in film history. Next time, we'll jump into the 1990s, the era of mega franchises, breakout indie films, and the rise of modern CGI. See you soon.